What about the happiest age? What do you think's the happiest age? I know you saw the story.
I've seen the story.
Well, intern, what do you think?
What do you, Yo Llama? If you said, what do you think if they asked people the age they were the happiest, which one do you think it'd be?
I would say somewhere in their 20s.
Somewhere in their 20s.
Like 27.
Yeah. What do you, LMA Clanton? She's on the phone with somebody, but
can she flash it?
Yeah. Do you know?
I asked her earlier.
What do you think is the happiest
30.
age?
She said 30 to me.
You think 30 is the happiest age a human being? Is that 30?
Yeah.
So how old are you now?
25? 22. And you,
so
Llama,
you're looking
21?
forward to peaking out in 8 years.
So they're both they're both in their 20s, and one says 20s, and the other says 30.
Yeah. It ain't 26, Rick. It ain't 26.
It ain't 26.
That's funny.
Leanne, welcome to the Rick and Bubba Show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, guys. Thank y'all for taking my call.
Thank you for being there.
It's our pleasure.
God bless y'all. I just wanted to comment on the happiness thing. I believe God gives us all those range of emotions, like happiness, love, hurt, sad, because if we didn't know the bad times, we wouldn't understand what the good times was. I believe he gives us those range of emotions, even though they may be short and few between.
Yeah, well, the only thing true, but emotions is not where God really deals with us, because emotions can take you in all sorts of directions, and you have to understand you're also in a body in a flesh that is now fallen. God did not give us selfishness. God did not give us lust. These are all the result of the fall. And where people get messed up on happiness is a lot of times they'll compromise God's standard in pursuit of the wrong type of happiness. So what you're saying is true to a point, but not completely. Not completely.
Thank y'all very much.
Hey, thanks for the call, Leanne. I appreciate it. But I understand what you're saying, though. He does cause different things to happen to us so that we understand who he is. Now, there's no question about that. To Mary in Huntsville, Alabama. Mary, welcome to the program. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. I'm fine.
Thanks for listening.
Hey, I'm 69, and I guess I'm just about as happy as I've ever been, because at 69, you're retired. You have time to do things you didn't used to have time to do. Things that used to get your panties in a wad don't get your panties in a wad anymore, because you realize that keeping a clean house is not the most important thing in the world. What's important is just enjoying life, helping your friends, doing some volunteer work, doing your church work. I mean, why would you not be the happiest you've ever been?
Yeah, well, the one thing you did say about getting older, which is really true, is you really don't sweat the things that you used to sweat before. I mean, sometimes on the air, I mean, just for fun, we have some fun. But I noticed things like when I went back and coached T-ball or coach pitch or whatever in Little League as an older father versus doing it when I had my kid out there for the first time, it was night and day. And then you can always tell the ones.
Now, why is that? Are you wiser?
Oh, much
or are
wiser.
you just tireder?
Well, it could be both. But I remember things that would just, you would lose your mind over. You're kind of like, you just don't take it. You just understand it more.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, I mean, there'll be situations where you'll start getting a little, and then you think, what am I worried about that for? What does that matter? And it's not near as important as I once thought it was. And I'll tell you this, I will find. And I apologize to my older children all the time. I will find that it's much more enjoyable, and your children have a much better experience when you have learned. That's the bad thing about your first kids. They take you learning how to be a parent, and then their siblings benefit from everything you learn with them, and bless their hearts.
Yeah.
And
Tyler. I know you've told stories about Blake, but Tyler's come up to me after being at a J.C. Reese game and go, "Who are you?"
Yeah, who are you? Yeah. Well,
who are you?
And then one time my oldest son did say this. I said, "Look, I want to apologize to the way. I mean, I was just a young dad trying to learn, and man, I apologize. Being your football coach sometimes, and the way I acted, and how hard it was, and how important I thought it was." And then he looked at me, and goes, "I said, do you ever sometimes did you have a miserable experience?" He said, "I'm playing in the SEC, Dad." And I went, "Okay." Yeah. Then that really threw me a curve for the whole day.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I looked at
the next week you were really tough on the two small. I got to turn it up.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I'm getting too soft.
Wait a minute. I didn't, what? So
That's true, by the way.
you're supposed to be talking to a counselor. What?
You got to find somewhere in the middle there, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's all balance, man. Balance is it. It's hard to learn, but boy, it's it. Let's go to Clayton, Gardendale, Alabama. Clayton, welcome to the Rick and Bubba Show. How are you doing, buddy?
How you doing, guy? I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, you were talking about the Bible saying something about about being happy, and it does say, I believe it's in the book of Proverbs, happy is the man that findeth wisdom and the man that gets understanding. So maybe their take on that is the fact that you do have that that understanding about being a little bit older.
Yes.
And being able to change some of the stuff that you do, like the guy that called a minute ago. He's talking about being able to talk. Being able to, treat some of his younger kids maybe a little bit better because he had the experience with the older children.
No question. Yeah, there's no question about that, and I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, buddy. Let's go to Justin, Lexington. Welcome to the program, Justin. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Rick. Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
We're
great.
Good. I was just talking about the age at 33 being the happiness. I just turned 30 back in January, and I really think that just really Christ, your walk with Christ really makes the difference in that. I don't think it's an age thing.
Yeah.
I think it's where your walk is with Christ at the time.
Yeah, no question.
Where your joy comes from.
Yeah, there's no question. And I think a lot of times and this is where that prosperity gospel, kind of creeps in and deceives us. I think one of the things that's missed so much, like you take the verse that a lot of people will write down as their favorite verse, or you ask them the verse, they'll a lot of times say, I love the verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Great verse. But you have to read the whole chapter that comes from. It is not a chapter, that is not a verse that says, I'm going to do well at what just happened, and it's going to go well because of Christ who's going to strengthen me to do well. That's not what that verse is about. People use it that way. If you look at the whole chapter, Paul is in prison. Paul is suffering greatly for the gospel. And he is saying whatever his circumstance, whatever it is, he's good with it because he can endure anything because of Christ who strengthens him. It is not I get superpower from Christ and he's going to strengthen me to do this well. It is a verse about endurance is what it is. He says, because of Christ, this situation is horrible right now, but because of Christ, I can endure it because he strengthens me. And so that's really what the type of whatever word you want to call it, happiness, joy, whatever, that the Bible speaks of is because of who Christ is, who God the Father is, who the Holy Spirit is, the triune God, because of them and what they've done for us when he didn't have to, okay, we can endure anything. Because of who Christ is, and we will find ourselves content, and we will be, if you like the word happy, in any circumstance. We're going to do what he called us to do, and that is going to be right, whatever the result of that is. And that's what Paul was saying about him being chained to this guard, writing this letter. He's saying, "Look, I'm in horrible state right now because of the gospel, but I'll endure it because I can do anything because of Christ who strengthens me." It's a great verse, and but you got to understand that's a verse of endurance, not a verse of, hey, this is going to go my way because Christ is in it. And he'll give you the strength to endure something, but he doesn't always give you the strength to win the game or this kind. It's not that kind of verse, and so that's really the kind of, if you like the word happiness that the Bible is speaking about, is peace, joy, things that endure. Because really, at the end of the day, God doesn't call us to happiness. He calls us to holiness. I mean, if you read the whole thing. So that's just what I'm talking about. Because a lot of times people compromise their faith in pursuit of human happiness, and that's where happiness gets you in trouble. We'll be back.